He used the songs to tell the story of himself, and he tells us our story through his story. This is what set him apart.
So anyways, I actually watched a documentary that I think it was on HBO. My lovely wife recorded it on Frank Sinatra, this 2-part series. And I got to tell you, man, it changed my life. One part of it. And it's the part where he makes his second comeback. Like, I guess he was like the first sort of, he was like the Justin Bieber of back then when he first did like when he first started singing. He was a crooner and all the chicks loved him and that type of stuff. And it's funny, all the big bands were like the fucking rock bands back then. Benny Goodman and Glenn Miller and all them. And they're looking like, who the fuck is this kid? With all these girls screaming, He
finished sing, and he took a bow. And he went over to the microphone and he said, "No, Frank Sinatra." And they screamed like a banshee. And he turned around and he looked at the audience and he said to nobody, "What the fuck is that?" he said.
And also he just speaks to the quality of talent back then and musicianship, that like a guy of Frank Sinatra's talent was considered like a fucking boy band. And granted, you had all that stuff going on back then, right? Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, and all that type of shit. But they had all this amazing footage, and he was in, I think, the Tommy Dorsey band. And, like, all they're doing, they're talking about Frank, and I'm looking at the band, and they got Buddy Rich on drums. They don't even bring it up. It's just was the level of talent, man. It was fucking unreal. Like, you really had to know how to play back then. So, anyways, he had basically, after he dropped off, after his crooning thing was over, people thought he was finished.
Frank made so many good records at that time that did not sell. His behavior made him persona non grata. And I thought, we can't sell a good one. Let's try novelty.
And I think that like the whole rock star thing, but he was basically a rock star before rock, was, there was no history of anybody ever doing that. So when he fell off, everybody thought he was finished. So when he made his comeback as the singer of sad songs and lament, whatever the fuck they said.
1949, Frank Sinatra is still the crooner, the romantic ideal of the young. By the 50s, he is a different kind of singer, and he is a different kind of screen personality. He's a grown-up. He's somebody who sings convincingly of suffering and whom we assume has himself suffered.
It was considered the greatest comeback in showbiz history. So that wasn't the part that scared me. What scared me was the second time, when he was into his 50s now. I think the first time he fell off, it was just like, I don't know, he was in like his 20s. He was considered older and washed up or something, or maybe like into his 30s. So 20 years after that, he has his second one. And this is the one that scared me. And they said Frank was making all these choices, desperately trying to remain relevant.
Nobody stays hip forever.
Introducing the sixth dimension.
There had been the most radical kind of sea change in the culture. Nobody in popular music was able to make that kind of transition. You either accepted that you were older, or you could embarrass yourself.
And they had at one point, he was singing with some like Motown group, and they had these really like crazy like Pimp Suits meets like a Three Musketeers kind of outfit, right? Late 60s, crazy shit. And Frank puts on one of these outfits to sing with this popular group. And he's got that big band swing pulse, and they're coming more with like a Motown thing. And I was literally on the edge of the couch watching it with like my fucking head in my hands going like, oh my God, this happened to Frank Sinatra? Like, what the fuck is going to happen to me? To the point they fucking hire you, and people, like, when they bring up your name, they go, I thought is he still alive? Hey, Sharon, is Bill... Try and find out if Bill Burr's still alive. Like, that'll fucking happen to me someday if I stick around too long. So, you know what I felt like when I was watching that? I felt like Paulie, that scene in Goodfellas. All right, when he's talking to Henry, telling him to stay away from the drugs, and he talks about some other Don. And he goes, you hear about so-and-so? He's going to die in jail. All right? That ain't fucking happening to me.
Listen, I ain't going to get fucked like Gribbs. You understand? Gribbs is 70 years old and the fucking guy's gonna die in prison. I don't need that.
And I was literally watching Frank wearing that suit, and that's all I could think. I can't say that's not going to happen. I just hope that does not happen to me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, so I watched that thing. Did anybody see it? It scared the shit out of me. This whole fucking thing of getting old and not being fucking relevant and all of that type of stuff. And I don't know. I'm desperately trying to figure out where the fuck do you go? Where do you turn to? Well, you know, whatever. Go fuck yourself. It scared me. I got a little scared.
Whoa, Frank Sinatra.
For me, this is hell. You dig, Pally?
Step your game up before we get it on. Focus on in every war. Keep a reeling on the swords. Cause baby, we go to war and we really get it on. Better be strong. For the war won't last that long. Step your game up before we get it on. Focus on in every war. Keep a reeling on your swords. Cause if we go to war and...
Your rent's due, motherfucker!